The days following Joseph's decision were anything but easy. He and Mary began preparations for their life together, but the eyes of their small village were unrelenting. Whispers followed them wherever they went, the voices of judgment thick in the air. Joseph could see the skepticism in their neighbors' eyes. A righteous man like him, taking in a woman with child? It stung, but he stood firm, determined to shield Mary from the scorn. One evening, Joseph found Mary sitting quietly in the corner of his workshop, her hands resting on her growing belly. The faint light from the oil lamp cast a glow on her face, and she looked serene despite the storm swirling around them.
"Are you afraid, Joseph?"
she asked softly, her voice breaking the stillness. He paused, setting down the piece of wood he had been working on.
"Yes,"
he admitted, pulling up a stool beside her.
"but not of what others think. I'm afraid of failing you, and the child. How can I, a simple carpenter, raise the Messiah?"
Mary placed her hand over his.
"You were chosen, Joseph, just as I was. God will give us what we need."
Her words, spoken with quiet confidence, stirred something deep within him. He realized that his role wasn't to understand the full plan, but to trust and obey. And so, each day, he poured himself into his work, preparing for the journey ahead. Not long after, a decree was issued by Caesar Augustus, a census. Every man was to return to his ancestral town to be registered. For Joseph, this meant a grueling journey to Bethlehem, the city of David. Mary, now heavily pregnant, would have to accompany him. The journey was slow and arduous. Mary rode on a donkey, her breaths shallow and strained as Joseph led the way. The rugged terrain and biting wind tested their endurance. Each night, Joseph set up a small fire, offering Mary whatever comfort he could. She would rest, her head against his shoulder, and he would pray silently, asking God for strength to see them through. When they finally arrived in Bethlehem, the town was teeming with travelers. Joseph knocked on every door, but no one had room to spare. At last, an innkeeper, seeing Mary's condition, offered them a place in his stable. It wasn't what Joseph had envisioned. The smell of hay and animals filled the air, and the floor was hard and cold. Yet, as Mary reclined on the makeshift bed Joseph had prepared, he saw something miraculous in her eyes, a peace that seemed to transcend the circumstances. That night, as the heavens themselves seemed to hold their breath, Mary went into labor. Joseph, though trembling with nerves, stayed by her side, his hands steady as they had always been in his work. When the baby's first cry pierced the night, Joseph felt his heart swell with awe. Mary wrapped the child in swaddling cloths and laid him in a manger. Joseph knelt beside them, gazing at the tiny face of the baby they named Jesus. In that moment, all the fear and doubt melted away. He wasn't just looking at his son, he was looking at the fulfillment of God's promise, the hope of the world. As the hours passed, shepherds arrived, their faces alight with wonder. They spoke of angels proclaiming the birth of the Savior. Joseph listened, humbled that he was witnessing something so extraordinary. He realized then that his role was more than protector, he was a servant in God's unfolding plan. From that night onward, Joseph's life was no longer his own. He would face many trials, fleeing to Egypt to escape Herod's wrath, settling in Nazareth, and raising Jesus in the ways of faith and obedience. But through it all, he found strength in knowing that he had been chosen, not because of his greatness, but because of his willingness to trust. And so, Joseph became the quiet hero of the greatest story ever told, a man who walked in faith, love, and courage, ensuring that God's promise to the world would be fulfilled. Moral lesson. 1. Faith overcomes fear. Joseph's journey shows that even in the face of fear and uncertainty, faith provides strength and guidance. Trusting in a higher purpose can help us navigate life's challenges with courage and resilience. 2. Selfless love and sacrifice. Joseph's unwavering support for Mary and Jesus highlights the power of selfless love. True love is about protecting and serving others, even when it requires personal sacrifice or facing judgment from the world. 3. Humility in purpose. Joseph demonstrates that greatness lies in humility and obedience. He embraced his role in God's plan, not for recognition but to serve faithfully. This reminds us that even ordinary actions, done with love and devotion, can have extraordinary impacts. 4. Strength through adversity. Despite the hardships of the journey to Bethlehem and the humble conditions of Jesus' birth, Joseph remained steadfast. This teaches us that enduring adversity with patience and perseverance can lead to profound blessings and fulfillment. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more faith-uplifting stories and click on the notification bell to know when a new video is posted. Also, view, comment, share and like. God bless you.